What's up, for fam?
You know what time it is. Let's get into this. Round 2. All right, what's up, for fam? Just so you know, JT's dumbass didn't hit the record button. So hey, we fixed it.
It's been a couple weeks, guys.
Yeah, it has been. You know, got some new stuff going on.
We've only been doing this 5 years.
Not really. But yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy couple months, you know, Halloween and Thanksgiving, and you know, Ryan's just busy as hell because he likes to deliver package.
I deliver my package all over the place.
So it's been kind of hard for us to get together.
Yes, but we're here and we're ready to rock and roll. And not only are we here and ready to rock and roll, but we got an awesome guest tonight too.
Yeah,
so we're pretty excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool show. We've got Mr. James Dean here, who is a director, and I'm going to say this: he hails from my hometown of St. Louis. So we're going to get him in here. We're going to talk to him a little bit and let him show us up.
Yes. Let's bring him in.
Yeah, let's get him in here.
Without further ado. Raja.
All right, what's up, James? How are you, man?
Pretty good. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Oh, you know, tired. I'm very tired.
You know, busy. As you can tell, we brain farted the intro, but hey, whatever. That's what we do.
I did an interview a couple years ago where the guy, we did 15 minutes, and then he's like, I forgot to hit record, and then and then I was like, okay, well, we'll do it again. It's 15 minutes. It's not that bad. And I spent 5 minutes. He's like, I'm having some technical difficulties.
Oh no!
So we had to start over again. And I told, you know, like if there was no more starting over. Third time, it's either happening or it's not. We'll just
Hey, third time's a charm, man.
Right.
You know, we actually did that one time. We had a good friend of ours, and luckily he's a super nice guy. We've done many shows with him. But he come in and we did like an hour and a half show with this guy. And whenever I hit end, you know, that was when we were on Zoom, and I hit end and then it never uploaded. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh crap, I never hit the record button. So, but he was cool about it. We had him back on in a couple of weeks, and just had a completely different show.
The problem is, though, is you missed that great conversation, because we wind up getting into some great conversations, man.
We do. We get into some silly shit.
Some crazy conversations.
It says in the top left-hand corner for me it's recording, so I'm gonna just gonna hold on to that.
Yeah, we're good.
Cross your fingers, buddy. 5
years of doing it, we finally figured it out.
Make sure this gets out. So hey, James, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm a filmmaker. I have a couple movies now that are out, and I'm from St. Louis. And you know, I'm a lifelong fan of movies. You know, and that of all kinds. You know, I love horror films. I love exploitation films. I love, you know, I love series. I love dramas. I'll watch. You know, I'll fucking go watch a Disney film. That doesn't matter. I love all kinds of movies. And yeah, I think I got to a point in my life where I wanted to start creating, you know, making films. And yeah, I mean, I waited till it was quite a bit older, you know. I was like 35 before I ever touched a camera. So
wow.
Yeah. So you know, I always wanted to, but I always also felt like there was a reason why not to, which is, you know, it's kind of silly, especially now because technology's got to a point where we all have tools that we can use to you know, and even if you're not making a feature film, you could make a short film, you know, skits. I mean, Instagram, all these social medias now, you can make skits and just upload a new skit every day.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, but you have phones that are like almost better than freaking some of the freaking filming equipment you'd buy.
You can do a lot on a phone. You really can. They're not as forgiving when it comes to color grading, and you know, you have to have your lighting really dialed in if you want to make it look like a movie. But I mean, there was a guy, I don't remember his name. I think it was the director of Nightmare on Elm Street 4. He recreated one of the scenes from 20 something years ago, and he used a phone to recreate it, and they were promoting the phone with it. This was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's definitely possible, and there's been entire feature films that have been put out that were shot just on phones, even 10 years ago. Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
it's
Oh, yeah,
possible for
dude.
sure.
hell, I watched a movie not too long ago that the entire movie was shot on a Ring doorbell camera.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's nuts. Now, there's a reason why there are cameras that cost $80,000 and lens that cost $150,000 for 3 of them.
Yeah,
there is benefit to that. It's not like those are just out there and filmmakers are using those for no reason at all. There are
Correct.
benefits. It's just that if you're looking for a way to be creative and put out content, or just like start to create or like bring about your own craft of storytelling, there's no excuse anymore, other than
Right.
maybe being afraid of putting yourself out there,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And I'm with it. Like that's like with me, where we've been doing this podcast for about 5 years now, and there's other stuff we want to do with the podcast. So we got a website we're getting ready to be trying to build and stuff like that. And we were wanting to do some of the like the investigations, paranormal stuff, things like that, little interviews with people who have had stuff happen, and like we're doing interviews with you.
Mhm.
We'll leave the movie making up to you.
Right. There's certain things we want to do and certain things I want to do personally, that, like you said, it's kind of like the stuff is available. You just got to put yourself out there and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And also not be afraid and really just kind of expect that it's going to be bad the first time you try anything. And if it's
Right.
not, then you're in one of those very small percentages of human beings that just have as an immense amount of talent in this one, whatever specific thing it is.
See, that's been telling my wife for years.
I was just thinking about the first time I had sex.
Well, there you go. I mean, you could bring a camera.
There you go.
You could bring a
I
camera
wasn't
to that
very
too.
good at it. And now I've had sex 10,000 times and I'm still not good at it. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whole. I think there is a saying: if you spend 10,000 hours at anything, you'll become a master at it.
10,000 hours,
That's-
braggart.
That's
Jesus.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've heard.
Oh man.
Oh,
That's where we go.
yeah, it's one of those kind of shows. But,
So I got a question for you. We always ask everybody this.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan of like all genres, which I am too, kind of. Like one of my favorite movies of all time, period, on my top 5 is The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely love that movie. I know this is more of a horror stuff we're kind of talking about, but I love that movie. What's one of your favorite horrors that you could think of that?
Yeah. I mean, like my go-tos, and definitely something that would like relate more and kind of wrap back around to XXX-Mas is Splatstick, like stuff that is so over the top ridiculous or so over the top gory that it almost becomes comical, but it's also sometimes can be scary. So the first 2 that of course come to mind, it's so hard for me to pick one, but Evil Dead 2. I mean, you're going to hear that from so many people. So the other one that I absolutely love and probably isn't known quite as well was Peter Jackson's Brain Dead. It's also known as Dead Alive.
Yeah.
That film has forever been. It's hard. I often will squeeze that one above Evil Dead 2, but it's both of them. They're just so, I don't know. I have so much fun with them.
Right.
was it Eaten Alive?
Dead Alive.
Dead Alive. Yeah, they had the freaking lawnmower scene.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
See, that's funny too, because what slapstick we watched? What was it? Santa Sleighs that with Goldberg.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gosh, dude, that was
Love that movie.
Aside from whenever I seen Violent Night, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, that was very good.
But that freaking movie with Goldberg's Santa Sleighs, dude, that movie was so funny.
I will definitely go to bat for that movie, especially with I think it has one of the best openings in a I enjoyed the entire film, but I think it was a pretty steep decline after that opening. The opening to me, the opening is the strongest part of the film. I still enjoy it and I'd still go to bat for it. But that opening is it's so good that like I felt like it was going to be really hard for them to maintain that.
Oh, absolutely, because it's so over the top. How are you going to keep up that pace? You know,
and the cameos, you just don't expect to see those people,
right?
Being dispatched of in those ways, and it's just like, Yeah, even the little dog being kicked, and I'm a huge dog fan. I don't want to see dogs getting hurt, but it was just like it all kind of. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So speaking of Christmas movies here,
Yeah.
let's talk about your movie that you got.
Yeah, for sure. So, XXX-Mas, a real basic, straightforward synopsis is, a mentally unwell Santa Claus starts attacking porn stars on a Christmas-themed porn shoot, and that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, there's more to it, but if you're just going to tune in for the boobs and the blood and the gore, that's it also. That's fine. You can take just that from it,
Exactly.
I got a little picture that I stole from you here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That was our first poster. We Drew Marvick plays Santa, and he's just fantastic. I don't know if you've talked to him before or if you are familiar.
No, we have not, but
yeah,
we did. Like I watched the trailer yesterday or whatever, and then showed it to Ryan whenever he got over here today, and yeah. I can't wait to see this.
He's really definitely been popping up a lot in indie film spaces. He was in a film earlier this year with Jessa Flux, who Jessa is also in XXX-Mas, but called Murder Size, and those filmmakers are just fantastic. Paul and Angie.
Murder Size.
Yeah. It's a tribute to 80s, the 80s like workout killer, in the gym.
Yeah. I think that's like on. I don't know. It's on one of the streaming services. I remember seeing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it came out earlier this year. Yeah. It's great. And then he also not just him, but quite a few people who were involved with this film are filmmakers themselves in their own right. Chris Rupert was my co-host on the Film Hacks, and he just directed his first narrative feature. He has like 5 documentaries that are out, and he plays the director, Johnny Duckett, the porn director. But he's in real life, he's a director, and on set, he did a little bit of second unit directing when I had to step away to like work on the script and figure out kind of logistically where we were at. Indie film is tough. We had 9 days to shoot the bulk of this.
Right.
And, when you see the film, you'll realize it was very, very ambitious because there's a lot of practical effects and a lot of gnarly kills, and getting that done in 9 days is not an easy task,
No, I'm sure.
And we can all agree that, special effects and practical effects, way better than CGI.
No, for sure. Yeah. And there are times where you have to use visual, VFX, but
and there's a place for that, but
right.
I mean,
when given the option and when it's possible, I always will fight in favor of practical effects,
Right.
Yeah. There's so many times in movies where people don't even realize that visual effects were used, just to mask out a light stand or, to fix something that was, we in our first movie, Fontaine, it's a 70s exploitation film of sorts. So it's called Fontaine and the Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die. There's a scene where she takes a katana and she like fights like 6-7 thugs. And think about that. Like, am I really going to put a real katana in this person's hand and have them run through and like start pretending to slice people up on an indie film? No. So we gave her a real handle and digitally added the blade back in. And we just did. I didn't do it because I don't do visual effects. I hired someone,
Right.
And no, I have not heard from anyone that they noticed that at all. And I was pretty impressed with how, but again, if we're going to do a head smash, I would prefer it to be a real effect. I'd really like.
You'd prefer to smash a real head.
We always schedule it last, and then that way the actor doesn't have to come back, and we just kill him.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
as real as it gets. As real as it gets.
Well, with a name like XXX-Mas, it's almost a snuff film.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to explain to people that it's not a porn, and at least a handful of people.
Yeah.
Speaking of a handful.
So I know you had your premiere the other night.
Yeah, last night.
How did that go?
It went great. I'll tell you what. So the first film we made, we premiered it at a drive-in, and this is the first time I've actually watched a film in a theater that I made with other people. And it was so drastically different. Like the energy was amazing. People were laughing. I'm the creator, so I'm always going to try to pump it up. But at the same time, I was texting the co-writer who lives in New York City, and I was like, dude, like 95% of these jokes we put in here, people were like, they loved it. They got all of them. A couple fell flat. Sometimes people just didn't get certain references, but I was shocked at as much worked as it did. Not that I didn't believe in it when we first made it, but when you're editing it, color grading it, and you go through 10 different sound mixes, you've watched the film 100 fucking times.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Some things are still really funny, and some things are like, okay, yeah, that's funny. But it's like, I'm looking like, okay, that's funny. Like it's just like anything. But in a crowd, I think, especially after watching this yesterday in a crowd, there was probably 120 to 150 people there, and
that's a good crowd.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend this if you're going to watch this film, inviting friends over, maybe having some beers if you drink. If not, maybe hitting a vape or doing some edibles. This is definitely that film.
Nice.
But have friends over, and I think you're going to enjoy this way more. If you sit there by yourself, this is definitely an event style. With friends, you can laugh at things. You can make fun of things. People take things too damn serious,
Right.
And yeah,
I think that we've been, sometimes we've tried to step away from that, being critical of movies, even big time major Hollywood movies and stuff like that, that we've, that we haven't liked. So I know everyone has their own preferences on things, and some people like, the more heady movies, some people like the jump scares and stuff like that, or whatever it may be, and so I try to step away from judging. I'm really trying to get my step away from judging movies before I go into it, and just let it be
so
what
judgmental.
No, I think I prefer to spend as much of my energy as possible being positive about things. So if I'm not talking about something, it's probably because I didn't like it that much. And that's fine. I don't know. Yeah. There was I listened to
tomorrow he will not be talking about this show.
No, I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts, and some of them are science-based, science podcasts. And the one was about happiness, and about like, it's more important to it's more important to not focus on being negative than it is to be like, have a positive mindset. So
dude.
Just not being,
listen to him.
You're talking to someone that has a real hard time with this. Like I come off as positive and playful and happy, but every day it's a lot of work and effort for me to like make sure I'm on that road as opposed to the other one.
It's a struggle for you to bullshit your way through it, huh?
Yeah. Lying to myself is becoming harder. Yeah.
I was literally having this conversation with this guy, 25 minutes ago?
Yeah.
I swear to you, the exact same conversation I was having with him.
If he's becoming too negative, just crop the screen in. It'll just be me and you. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm actually very, very, very positive guy. It's just this time of the year, man, it's crazy.
It's positively a pain in the ass is what he is.
I've been working for 20 days straight as of right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's just been hectic as hell. And I'm missing doing this.
Yeah.
We haven't been here for a minute, and
just a little bit about us. I mean, so Ryan and I have been friends for a long time, and we kind of met on a whim. We got to talking one day about somehow something about ghosts or something. Oh no, I'm sorry. We started talking about music. We're both real big metalheads. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about music, and then somebody mentioned something about a ghost story, and then it was like a 2-hour conversation, and it was funny. He hit me up one day and he said, "Hey, we have these really cool conversations all the time. What do you think about doing a podcast?" And the first thing I said was, "What the fuck's a podcast?" Because I had no idea what the hell it was.
Yeah.
And so we bought some, cheap equipment, and, which we've upgraded since then to see if we liked it. And so it's really cool. I mean, we're just two buddies that get together, and we like to bullshit about horror movies and, paranormal stuff and aliens and and all kinds of shit, you know. So it was really cool whenever you reached out to us. I was like, fuck yeah, let's get this guy on here and talk to him. And
No,
you know.
it's like that's another like aspect of indie film is that a lot of indie filmmakers, they want to concentrate on the art portion, but they don't necessarily, or maybe they just don't understand how to concentrating on the business portion, you know.
Right,
and
right.
you know, getting into logistics of what is like how you can make a film profitable. You know, I definitely am not there. I couldn't give you those answers, but I'm
Right.
getting better at it. And the more films I make and distribute, I'm getting way better at it. And even running like the crowdfunding campaign, we raised almost $40,000 with our crowdfunding campaign for XXX-Mas.
That's amazing.
Thank you. That in and of itself was a massive lesson on marketing. I mean, like, I learned so much, and that was a year ago. You know, our first film coming out, that was a big lesson on marketing, and you know, but also then it comes down to like, you know, how much time is in a day? I mean, you just said you work 20 days straight. You know, I have a small business, and I work 25 to 40 hours a week every week. But then with filmmaking, since I started this last December when we started our Indiegogo, I've been putting 30 to 55 hours a week into this film on top of that.
Right.
Yeah.
A human can only maintain that and sustain that for so long, you know?
Right.
And so
absolutely.
It's tough, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun making this movie, you know? It was something that I thought would be, it's so different, you know, like I don't think I've ever heard of a film where Santa is attacking porn stars, you know?
Right.
So
right.
it's, you know, and if you see a poster or you hear that premise, it's like, okay, either this is going to be the biggest dumpster fire ever, or this is going to be a fun fucking movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me about writing this. You said you had a co-writer that's in New York?
Yeah. So, Louis Otero, he co-wrote Fontaine with me, and then he also co-wrote this. I wrote the original draft, you know, first draft. It was like 60 pages. It was real short. It was just really me getting all my ideas out. And I knew right away, that was what I sent a lot of actors actually when I first wanted to get them attached, which I wouldn't advise necessarily because it's, you know, a very rough draft.
Right.
And I called him up and I sent him, you know, I sent him the script and asked him for notes, and he gave me a bunch of notes. And then I was like, well, hey, instead of you just giving me notes, why don't you help me with this? Because you're a funny dude and you're a talented writer. And you know, and because of that, we'd worked together before. He, you know, he stepped in and he added some more to it, and then he rewrote some things. We went back and forth. You know, that's how it works for us. And then we, you know, and this was awesome because it was the first time I was actually able to meet him in person, because he actually drove in, and he drove in and was a script supervisor also on set. So it was really cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's
Sweet.
Awesome.
So where did you guys film this at?
So we filmed all this in St. Louis. You know, so there's a weird little area here in St. Louis that's a little bit kind of west, I guess southwest. It's a vineyard area. Like they do, like they have some wineries out here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of bigger homes that you can rent, you know, Airbnbs, and they're also a little more secluded. And so it took a little bit of time to find the right locations, because, you know, you can't just say, can we rent your house for a week or two? You have to, you know, you have to get the approval, and in our case, put down an extra deposit. You know, I mean, blood sprays do hit ceilings sometimes, as they did. And, you know, and so, so we shot all of it in St. Louis. There's a couple scenes that were actually in my house. Just out of necessity, we shot them here. And then we filmed in this really massive house that allowed us also to keep like 6, 7, 8 of us that could sleep there every night. And then also we shot there. Yeah. I mean, we shot mostly overnights. There were a few days that we shot just because the scenes took place during the day. But the house acted as a double. You know, we shot in it, and we also, a lot of people from out of town stayed there, you know.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. Like, that's one reason too. You know, you were talking just a minute ago about like how it is to make these indie films and stuff, and that's kind of why we like we like being able to help out wherever we can. So doing this lets us help do our part to help out people and get the word out there, because it keeps, not only does it keep like is it helping someone, but it keeps the genre going, and it keeps,
Yeah.
you know, the passion that, like you talked about, a lot of indie directors have a passion, and then they get caught up on the art of it, which is a good thing, because then you see the, you know, the art of what they're doing. But like you also said, sometimes they don't know about the promotional part of it, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
that's why, like, for us, we just like, yeah, come on here and we'll promote. And like, I think that, you know, a lot of people, when they see the effort that you put into the movie, real fans are going to be, okay, we can't wait to see the next movie this guy makes, and then we're going to freaking help promote more, you know.
We've also had people that have like had interest in this and then went back and watched our first film, you know.
Right.
I do have a little bit of concern, because the first film, 70s exploitation vibe, this one's a B movie, splat stick, gory, over the top themes,
Right.
pretty much. This is actually the third film we shot. The second film we shot will be the next one released. And it's already halfway done with post-production, and it's totally different again. So I'm hoping that people don't just always expect, nothing wrong with this, by the way. I just hope people don't always expect the grindhouse exploitation B movie from us, because we are doing other things and we can do other things. And 10 years from now, maybe we'll come back and do another B movie. I don't think it'll take that long, honestly. I think it might be every other, because I absolutely love not taking things too serious. But I also, you know, I love A24 films. There's some of my favorite, you know, like, you know, and so like nothing's off limits for me. And I don't want, especially because no one's really giving me money. I mean, there's just some producers that have come on and Indiegogo, but I don't have a big studio backing me. So I don't want to be told that I can't try this or try that.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
I
and
love
that's what indie's all about. I mean,
yeah. I think that's one of the strengths, really. I mean, I do have people. I do have people around me that I check in with to see, hey, is this maybe am I doing something that's kind of not wrong, but is it over the line? And I mean,
right.
You know,
nowadays you have to really ask yourself that.
And don't get me wrong, man. Like, there's some people would probably say I had a podcast that reviewed our first film, and they recorded an hour and 20-minute review, but they turned the movie off after the first 30 minutes because there was a sexual assault. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I get it. I get it. Not everyone can watch that. And I don't expect anyone to sit through a sexual assault in a film, but doing an hour and 20, you recorded a podcast longer than what you watched the film.
Right.
Right.
And that's those opinion. And that's the thing that, you know, I was talking about a little earlier about the opinion thing. You know, it's okay to have one,
sure,
but you don't got to ram it down someone's throat for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. And I think that a lot of people nowadays, unfortunately, it's gotten to a point where you got to question everything for some reason, whenever really, you know, that particular scene that you're talking about, that's what builds the emotion for the movie.
For sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what people really don't understand, is that, like, that's like for me, like, I hate when shit happens to children in movies.
Right.
I got 2 kids, and like, kids are like very important to me, and to see something like that. But I know that when something happens in a movie like that, it's to build the emotion and the atmosphere for what the movie is about.
Right. With all that said, the only thing I definitely draw the line with is if people were really hurt in the act on purpose for some reason, or if I definitely don't like, you know, pushing this out there, but I'm vegetarian and I'm not going to watch an animal really get killed, like for real, like Cannibal Holocaust.
Right.
I've watched it once. I'll never watch it again. I have no interest in watching that. You know, like it. There's nothing really that artistic about that to me. It's just kind of disgusting.
Right.
And so,
you know, and it's funny, my wife, you know, we're not vegetarians, but we're both huge animal lovers, you know, and like, you know, I don't hunt. I don't do any of that stuff. I couldn't do it, you know?
Yeah.
And my wife is the type of person that's like, we'll be watching a movie and all of a sudden there'll be a dog and she's immediately like, not the dog, dog, you know, and she'll look away. She'll be like, tell me when I can look.
But see, a key moment for that, John Wick.
Yeah.
He went after and he killed everyone because they killed his damn dog and they stole his car.
Four movies later, man. I mean,
Dedication.
That's yeah,
I love it.
dedication to your craft.
have either of you seen the crazy edit with tons of VFX where it was he that was killed in the first film and the dog grabs a gun and starts hunting down the killers?
Oh,
I haven't seen that.
dude, that sounds awesome though.
It's like 90 seconds long of someone like basically changing the film and just doing a trailer where the dog picks up the gun and starts shooting people with the gun.
Hilarious.
That's
I'm gonna have to
awesome.
find that.
That is awesome.
Funny.
It's out there. It's on YouTube. It was, a few
Yeah.
years ago.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it still is.
That's
it's a lot of fun.
That's
That's
cool.
freaking hilarious. But I mean, yeah, just to go to show that stuff builds kind of the point of the movie. That's what makes you feel. It's like those revenge movies. Like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left.
Yep.
As much as I hate that stuff, that's what builds. That's why that freaking revenge that they get is so powerful and freaking. Like the remake, that's one of my favorite scenes, like the remake of Last House on the Left, whenever the dad's like got his head inside the microwave and stuff.
I knew exactly where you were going. I love it. I love it. It makes no sense because it's not going to work with it open, but I don't even sometimes I don't care and I don't want things to make sense. I just want that gratification of that guy's head to blow up because of the shit he did,
Right.
That's exactly it. Or the scene from the remake of I Spit on Your Grave when she pounds that pipe up that dude's ass.
Oh, dude. Man.
What a sledgehammer.
I watched a few of those. There was one where she puts a shotgun in his ass and shoots him.
Yes.
I don't remember which one that was, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and that's it. It's just part of that thing, man, that people want to see that revenge thing. And, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to watch. Like I said, it's really hard for me to watch anything with.
We got a guy on here, just did this fantastic movie with all this blood and gore, and he's a fan of blood and gore. And here we are talking about pounding shit up people's asses.
That's where
it's just, hey, that's where our conversations go. All right.
It's on theme for a porn about a Santa that's attacking, porn sets.
Right. I had someone did like an impromptu interview after the premiere, and I wasn't expecting it. I was like, okay, sure. I was like, I don't know how the audio and everything in here is going to be, but we'll do it. Sure. And we did like a 5-minute interview. And, I talked about I do like putting a little bit of something personal or like a thought or some sort of subtext into a film when I make it. Mm-hmm. I don't like when filmmakers make it so obvious and I use the term, and this is kind of to wrap it all back around, shoving it down your throat. And he just thought that was the funniest thing ever because he just got done watching the film and shoving it down. Anyway, yeah. Right. 2 and 2 together,
Yeah.
So is there a reason why you did this Christmas?
As far as Christmas themed?
As far as the movie.
Right, right. I think it was just a combination of things. It seems like now and going forward, there's a lot of Christmas horror that's coming out.
Yes.
From a business marketing standpoint, I thought it was about to get hot, so I guess I was right with that.
Yeah.
But I've always loved Christmas horror. I've always loved it. Yeah. And then just other things started to click into place. I saw Drew Marvick, again, who plays Santa. I saw his film for the first time. He's a director also. He made Pool Party Massacre. It's fun. It's fun. The best part of the film to me is when he's in the scene because he has so much charisma. And then he was in Murder Side. He's been in a lot of stuff. The Barn too. He's been in a lot of stuff. And
oh, dude, I love those.
Yeah.
That was that Jason Seaman?
Yeah, you have the last name definitely right. I'm not sure. Is it Justin?
Justin.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, those movies were awesome. I remember when the first one came out. I have not seen the second one yet.
Right.
But the first one, oh man, I love that movie. I love the way you filmed it and just that feel, because I'm big into the old, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I'm into that whole, 80s slasher horror kind of vibe, the way he filmed that was killer.
I watched Joe Bob talk about that film, and more specifically Justin and the way Justin approached it. And I don't know, I'm assuming it was all very deliberate to going in.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
But he and Joe Bob didn't disclose numbers, but he said the guy made quite a bit of money just going from convention to convention selling physical media. And it hits all the buttons. You want to see a.
Uh-oh.
We lost you for a second. You will be back.
But yeah, they're both on my watch list for sure.
Sorry, we lost you for just a
Sorry,
second
we
there.
lost you for just a second there. But hopefully it'll be all right on your end. So
Yeah, it'll come through. But yeah, I mean,
gotcha. Yeah.
Speaking of conventions, I freaking love conventions, dude.
yeah,
We got to set ourselves up for a big one.
we got to get out to
coming
some
up
bigger
here.
ones.
We went to a few up here and stuff, but like it's
Are you planning on doing the convention circuit?
Are you losing us too?
Has he lost us?
Oh yeah, I was definitely losing you a little bit just there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
But,
So it does record
you're
on
back.
both sides, so we're good.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I was asking is, are you planning on doing the convention circuit? Like,
yeah, we went to Days of the Dead a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And I've been to quite a few conventions, but that was the first time we ever had a vendor's table,
Okay.
And my goal was always to do more and more conventions, but I didn't want to go to one with just one film. And even this time, we didn't go by ourselves. We had Jessa Flux come with us, and she's beautiful, and she has a lot of fans. And it just worked in our favor because she has like 10, 15 films she's been in, and she could bring all of those films with her. And so we sat there with our 2 films, and then she was there with her like 10 films or whatever that she's been in. And people approached the table, and there were a couple people that came up and bought 7 of her films, then looked over at our side, and then they bought both of our films. So I mean, like it was really, yeah. I mean, that is the audience. You don't have to worry about everyone else, the other 98% of people that don't like these kinds of movies. It's those are the people you want to be, talking to at cons.
Right. And that's the whole point. Like, that's what we like about going to them. It's just a good vibe. Everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's happy. They're meeting everybody and stuff. It's a really cool. It's a really cool thing. I think that human interaction is very important. I think that nowadays people are just online constantly, and it's great. Like, being able to do this, like with what we're doing right now, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But meeting people in person and feeling their freaking vibes and stuff, it's really cool. I think
so. Ryan would rather come to your house and hide in your bushes outside your front door.
I want to see you in person.
I mean, that's okay too. I mean,
he's like these creepers.
No, one thing that was really fun about going to Days is that they do film. I guess they're not really film festivals, but I think they're listed as that. And they do screenings of other independent filmmakers. And I didn't get much time to pull away from the table, but I was able to catch a couple of filmmakers' short films, and then I was able to talk to them. And they'd already come by the table, and they had already, actually picked up our film. And I went and saw their stuff, and I'm following them and interested in what they're creating. And I hope they, go on and make more stuff. I don't understand when it doesn't make sense to me why some filmmakers won't support other filmmakers. Like when we had our premiere, I actually had 6 trailers play before our film. 5 of them were other people's trailers.
Right.
And
wow.
And a couple of them are people that were involved with the film, but a lot of them aren't. And it was just nice being able to hopefully introduce people that were there to other filmmakers or other movies. And yeah, I mean, and it's especially it's easier fit when they're in the similar vein, like Murder Size or Tapehead, The Return of Jacob Cobb. Like these kind of films. Yeah, it just works.
And that's the thing that's cool about the podcast world is that everybody works together.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have enemy. Well, we might, but I mean, we piss people off with our mouths, not our content. But
I mean, it's cool because, like I said, just like you heard about us, everybody meets everyone, and then like we go on other people's podcasts.
Wait, how the hell did you hear about us?
I probably put a post out on Facebook asking people to send me recommendations for podcasts to promote the film.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I know that a couple friends of ours, and that would be Brock Roberts and Chris Grega.
Oh yeah, they were at the film last night. I didn't know. Oh yeah.
So I know Brock. I've known Brock for years. I work at a car dealership, and he comes by quite often. And I actually met Chris Grega through him, and they've been on our show before. So awesome. I kind of whenever I was going, so I was stalking you. I was going through your pictures from the premiere last night, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Holy shit! There's Brock and Chris." Wait.
Yeah. Well, I was on their podcast, the Indie Film Sucks podcast, and then last week I went and saw Red Night at Skies, which again I'll sit here and I'll start talking about other filmmakers' movies, but I don't know when it's going to be available, but the premiere was really good. It has Bill Moseley, it has Brock, it has Jackie Kelly, and I think Jackie Kelly's going to be just like Drew Marvick. She's right on the cusp of just blowing up. I think so many people are going to know who these people are in 5 years if they don't already. Cool. And yeah, they had a really gnarly little movie. If you haven't seen it yet,
well, they actually came on the show to promote it. They came on our show to promote that one.
Yeah. It was a good time. I can't wait to stream it or possibly pick up some physical media of it because I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
It was funny. I actually saw Brock. It was either Thursday or Friday last week. He came by the dealership, and I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so it was Thursday or Friday last week because their premiere was
last Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, and we were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll try and bring you over. They've got some Blu-rays."
Oh,
so he's going to bring us one over. He said.
Yeah. They definitely had some on sale. I didn't spend very long at their premiere. I watched the film, and then I congratulated them and had to leave. Last week was a rough one. All of Thanksgiving week for me was just a rough week. I had a sinus infection, and I was kind of, I was always going to go to the premiere, as long as I wasn't contagious with anything. But, it was, I still wasn't 100% for sure.
Right. Well, it's like you said, it's it's just one thing. Time is important. Yeah. Everyone's time is important. Even showing up and showing love, that's what matters, And
it's unfortunate that a lot of premieres. I mean, it's not unfortunate. Saturdays are probably a hot day to do it. I would guess that's when we had, that's when we had our first premiere here. But like I shoot a lot of weddings for money. That's part of one of the small businesses I have, and because of that, it's a Saturday gig, and it's usually a 12-hour day. And when people are doing premieres, you miss premieres a lot, unfortunately. But I was really happy that I was able to catch his, and there's a handful that in St. Louis that I've missed that I really wish I hadn't missed, Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. Cause we actually went to the one.
Well, but that wasn't Brock. Actually, I went with Brock to, there was a movie come out called Night.
Okay. I haven't heard that one.
It was, what was that, 2 years ago?
I think so.
Okay.
They did their premiere at Ronnie's.
Okay.
And it was they had a pretty big turnout for that, but they had some pretty big stars. It had that D'Amica girl.
Yeah, from the Descendants.
And okay. Tony Todd was in that film.
Yeah.
And so Brock had got invited to go to that, and so he said, "Man, why don't you go with me?" And I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'll go with you." And went up, and that's when I met Chris.
Yeah.
Chris Grega, and then I met the other Chris. God, I don't remember his last name. The producer.
Yeah. I think of him as Christopher. I was on the podcast. Is it Mackey? Is that
Mackey? That's it.
Yeah,
Chris Mackey.
I felt like if I said it, I was going to say the wrong thing, but it sounds like I got it right.
So. It. But anyway, I got to meet them guys and hang out with them, and super cool people, man. Super cool people. Yeah, it's funny. I know a little bit about St. Louis. I grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So I lived there almost my whole life, and I moved down here almost 20 years ago, and
you're old.
Haven't looked back. Unfortunately,
Yeah, that happens.
But yeah, I grew up in South St. Louis, so
okay, yeah. That's definitely their area, because it's I'm trying to think. I know Chris Grega does recording, like they have like a studio in home. So for his podcast, I had to go down there. Yeah.
And he lives fairly close to where my sister lives now, which is south of St. Louis.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say the town, but
Right,
anyway.
right. Yeah.
Keep going. You're gonna say it.
Let me just give you his address. You can go. You can go hang out in his bushes.
16284. No. Go fuck yourself, Lane.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, those are good people. But so I want to know about your effects and stuff.
Yeah.
So how? I'm assuming you hired somebody to do
Oh, for
that,
sure,
or?
for sure.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. We had.
I was
multiple
wondering
people.
if you had done that yourself.
No. You know, it's something that, especially when I was younger, I've always had an interest in. And if I would have taken a different path and went down and started filmmaking in my early 20s, I think I would have devoted a lot more time to learning that craft.
Right.
But I don't at this point. There's already so much that I take on as an indie filmmaker. And that's not to say I don't have help and like amazingly talented people around me, because I definitely do.
Yeah, it
But
takes a family, man.
It definitely.
What is it? It takes a village.
It takes a village. Yeah. It definitely does. But yeah, I hired someone, and then I also brought on someone that I've been working with for 3 films now. So I had several people involved, and we spent, of the Indiegogo funds, about $11,000 just on practical effects. So that was quite a bit for an indie film, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I
Yeah, when you think about that number, you think, man, that's not a lot of money, but it is. I mean, when you're looking at an indie film, I mean, that's a big chunk of money to plunk down.
It's a lot. But, you know, even like the prosthetics, just even purchasing the prosthetics without application, they get expensive, you know, for like one serious trauma to the head, you're looking at $500 or $600.
Wow.
And that's without application or the specialty, or, you know, like, yeah.
But it's worth it, you know, and that's what I was talking about. So the difference between practical effects and CGI, man, like, you know, I always compare, I don't know if you've seen the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're not going to go into that right now. But I did love the atmosphere, the darkness of it. But
yeah,
other than that. But so I always compare the scene where Krueger's coming out from above the bed through the wall.
Yeah.
The original
was all practical.
is amazing. Looks awesome. The new one is over the top CGI.
Yeah. It's tough because there's times where. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. You know, you start getting the bigger budgeted films, and I actually think I'm a little harsher on them than indie films. And part of the reason is when you're in the $5 to $10 million range, you know, if you can't afford someone to do fill in the blank,
right,
and make sense, you know, like, you know, So yeah, I mean, like I'm with you though. There's no need for it to be visual effects. Well, they did that also with The Thing, not the remake, but like the sequel. Right, they actually had practical effects they used, and then the studio went back in and you put VFX over the practical effects.
Yeah,
you know, I really would have. I mean, like, there's also instances where practical effects were used and then it's layered with VFX. And I know Walking Dead got a lot of crap. I didn't finish the show, but there was a lot of cases where it was a lot of practical effects with just a little bit of VFX that kind of made it seamless.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I think when you can composite things together, it works way better than just doing all visual effects. I think it's just 1,000 times better for sure. And most of the time it's not even noticeable, you know? I think, yeah.
Well, and it's like you were saying earlier about with your film with the katana, you know, you can't even tell that.
No. Yeah. I mean, again, you know, that's the difference also between me trying to do it myself or me hiring someone, you know. I could send you the short film that we made before that. And I did a lot of the visual effects myself on that, and like it's just laughable, you know, because I don't do visual effects, you know.
Right.
And then you compare it to when I hired someone, it's like, oh, clearly there's a different level of skill here.
And that's the whole point, you know.
It's an art form.
If you listen to our first freaking few episodes compared to where we are now,
what? If you listen to last week's episode,
But seriously,
no.
You guys have come so far since last week.
We
Right,
have.
you
We
know?
have.
It's just crazy the difference, you know.
I actually hit the record button today.
He's not that bad. He's never gonna tell anybody to come on the show. He's like, these guys can't even push their record button.
No, I was notoriously known for mispronouncing guests' names on the Film Hacks. And yeah, I mean, like I had the director of Juan of the Dead, and I'm not even gonna say his name because I'll just butcher it, but amazing, awesome dude, like super nice. And he went through how to say his name 6-7 times before we hit record. We hit record, and it was like my brains just fucking oozed out of my ear. And I'm here, and then like not just did he laugh at me and like correct me, but also the co-hosts, like they doubled up on me. And you know, I was like, I'm not even gonna argue this or fight back. I deserve all of this. We went over your name like 7 fucking times. I get, you know, so I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it almost kind of became a regular thing where I would mess up the guest's name and then everyone would make fun of me, and I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. You get to a point where you do it on purpose.
No, I mean, I'll say that, sure, yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah. You know, it was funny. We did a really long show with 2 directors and 2 actors from a movie from the UK, and this was like 2 or 3 years ago. We did this, and it was well, and you might know them. The movie was Hosts, and it was directed by Richard Oakes and Adam Leader, and it starred Neil Ward and Amanda Loxley.
Okay.
Isn't that her name?
Yes.
Amanda Loxley. So anyway, so we had all 4 of them on the screen with us, and I went through the whole introduction, and I introduced everybody except Adam Leader.
Oh.
And didn't even realize it until at the very end of the episode. And we were on the phone with these guys for like
5 hours.
For like 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
It was insane.
Oh, wow.
And finally, Neil was like, "Hey, just so you know." And I'm like, "No, that's bullshit." I went back and I watched the episode, and I was like, "Son of a bitch."
It was recommended to me, and it's so funny, but it was recommended to me to not do, and if it comes back in another incarnation in the show, this is what I'll probably do, is not to do the intros while the guest is on the show and just record them later, because I can fuck it up 10 times, and if I get one that's right, we're golden.
Right. Well, see, and that's what I ended up doing with this show is I went back and I re-recorded my intro where I introduced them, you know, because I was like, oh God, come on.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, no, it's really funny.
Yeah, but it was crazy. Yeah, we were on the phone. We were on the same thing with them. Like,
I gotta tell you, I was nervous as hell. It's like it was the very first like big director that we ever, you know,
and they were from
interviewed.
The UK and shit.
And this guy calls me, you know, so like we're supposed to start recording with them at 6 o'clock, so it's like 11 o'clock their time, you know,
right?
And they were all for it, you know, and so at like 5 o'clock, he's like, "Dude, I can't get out of work. You're gonna have to do this by yourself." And I'm like,
God.
"Oh my God," you know. And I was all right. I was like, because I don't know, you know, you get somebody on the show, and you're like, what am I gonna say if all this guy wants to do is just sit here,
right?
You know,
it's really
I
can
can't
be really
pull
tough.
a conversation out of somebody, you know,
and yeah.
Luckily, it worked out because these people like to talk. And we had a really good conversation. And about an hour and a half later, he texts me and he says, "Hey, how did it go?" I'm like, "Dude, get over here. I'm still on the phone with them." And he was like, "Holy shit." He come over, and then we were on the phone for like another 3 hours after he got here, you know, and it was crazy. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning their time, and they're just partying and drinking and having a good time.
It was
a
great.
Yeah, it was very fun. Very fun.
Yeah. No, I've definitely encountered both kinds of guests, and that's why it's always better to have a co-host to throw things off of. And then if you have a moment where you just have a brain fart or you can't think of what to say, you know, it's always nice to have that other person to maybe just kind of gently pick up the conversation, you know?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Keep this show going.
You're here to poke your head out.
I'm the looks, he's the entertainment. I'm the looks, he's the entertainment,
All right, yeah, I could see that, sure.
or vice versa.
It is what it is. It is what it is. No, man.
We give each other a lot of crap, but we do love each other.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, your closest friends, if someone's seen you and your closest friends talking to each other, they're like, wow, those guys are really hate each other. Like they're
and we actually record this shit and release it.
Yeah, I mean, there's usually two types of relationships you have with your best friends. And, you know, some people aren't comfortable, but you either give them all the shit in the world or you flirt with them like you're interested, but you're not. And it's one of those. It's one of those two things.
I like to make it a mix of both.
Yeah.
He makes it really awkward sometimes.
You know, no, we just like to have fun. And honestly,
I
think that's why. And I've been telling him this. You know, that's why a lot of people tell everyone to come on our show when they come on there.
Yeah, because I mean,
they're like, you know, we're
God damn it, I'm fun to talk to.
You're lucky because you haven't gotten to some of the crazy conversations that we get into with some people. So
well, let's get into some of those crazy conversations.
The first time.
So, do you believe in ghosts?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
There's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, I don't believe in ghosts, God, most of that stuff. I do think that as I get older, I've become a little more spiritual, but not in a sense of like a higher power, more of just being connected to everyone else, being connected to the earth, possibly. Not the hippie way, but I guess it is kind of the hippie way. I don't know. You know, I could just, you know, a meditation, kind of those kinds of things. I think they do a lot for me. I was raised Catholic, so I've had both experiences.
That's interesting with what you just told us.
Yeah. You know, for me, and I'm a dimensional guy. It's I believe in a lot of crazy stuff, you know, and honestly, I just think it makes life more interesting.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it.
I think as humans, there's a lot that we just don't know about what's around us. So thinking that there isn't something after death would be silly also. Right. You know, to think that you and I, all of us, everybody here, we originate. Well, not we didn't originate, but really we come from stardust, essentially. Like, think about that. Like, there's, you know, at the base level, we're all connected as being the basic same material.
Right.
So, you know, and to think that, like, just to be like, oh no, there's no such thing as ghost. I've never seen one. I don't believe in them. But if I saw one, I sure the fuck would believe in them, you know?
Right, so like, and that's the thing about that question. That question is very personal. Until you have an experience of your own, you should be that way. You should feel that way.
Yeah. But you know? I do like your response because it means you're open-minded.
Yeah.
And
that's I think you have to be.
Right. And that's how I feel, you know, and that's why I tell people all the time, like, I don't care what you believe, as long as you're not hurting anyone, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Do what you're going to do. Believe in it, you know. And if I see it, like you just said, if I'm proven wrong, I'll take it. You know, it is what it is.
See, and I'm the type of person that I do not want to go through life and not believe that there's something afterwards, you know.
Right.
You know, and it's a personal thing, you know, but if I thought that, and this is me, if I thought that we died and there was nothing left, nothing beyond death, then what's it all for?
Yeah.
You know, that's how I feel.
It's funny because I feel like, hey, it's funny because the conversations a lot
you didn't
of
know
times,
you were getting into this, did you?
No. I just had my first radio interview the other day, and we got into some philosophy and stoicism and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, you know, and then at the very end, I'm like, go see my movie, XXX-Mas.
yeah, absolutely.
But no, I think for a long time I was very like nihilistic deep down. Right. Okay. Very pessimistic, negative, nihilistic. And I think on the opposite side of that, when you don't think there is anything after this, I think then you can get to a point where everything matters. And so, like, I could come on here and be the biggest dickhead. I could be the biggest dickhead to you guys, or I could be like, let's just have fun with this. You know, if we end up talking about whatever, you know, if we end up talking about indie film and how almost every indie film has a guy get his dick bit off. Cool. That's a great topic for me.
Or does that happen in your movie?
I mean, I wouldn't have brought it up if there wasn't a reason. That's all I'm saying.
What I want to know is, I was going to ask you this a while ago, but I didn't know how to bring it up. But you just brought it up. So you were talking about prosthetics a while ago.
Yeah.
And so okay, is there that kind of scene where you have to use a prosthetic, or is that all natural there?
So there's no nudity full frontal for the males, mostly because I wanted to still be able to get on streaming platforms, and that really is kind of a sticking point.
Right.
Everything else for guys is definitely shown. Girls, we have pretty much everything on display at one point or another. But there was a lot of like we shot on we shot on a higher end camera for indie film. It's not the top of the line by a long stretch, but it allowed me the flexibility to crop in where I had to remove some nudity a few times.
Right.
You never, like I love the female figure. I mean, there were a lot of very attractive males and females on set. But I got so tired of seeing people's asses and boobs. I mean, because there's a moment where I had to add a phone screen started ringing in a scene, right? And in the foreground, you have the actors having sex as the screen's going off in the background. And so I had to add that and visual effects, and I'm comfortable doing that. I can do that. That's nothing detailed, super hard.
Right.
But like I had to mask around this girl's ass bouncing past the camera, past the camera, past the phone. And I texted her because I'm friends with her, and I'm like, I'm so tired of seeing your ass right now. I just wish I could finish this and go to bed. It's one of those things. When you like sex
when you see
scenes,
it occasionally, it's fine. But when you have to look at it constantly, it gets old.
I know a guy who films. OnlyFans material for a lot of people around here.
And he could hook you two up, probably.
No, but what I'm saying is, that's what he told me, because we were talking to him about it at work the other day, and he's like, listen, it ain't all it's cracked out to be.
Dude.
Right.
He's like, the smells, he's like, it's...
That's it, dude. Horror Chronicles OnlyFans page.
There's see, now you guys you're gonna regret having me on with where I'm gonna go with this. You talked about smell, you talked about porn. I heard an episode of Howard Stern where he sent like a journalist, like a real journalist, to an event to cover it, and it was called Fist Fest.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the guy was doing a report on it, and he said he couldn't. He said the smell was so overwhelming once he came into that room. And yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think what I was going to originally say though is that like filming sex scenes, they're not. There's nothing hot about it.
Right.
You can make it kind of come off that way. But if anything, it's like let's get this fucking scene over so we can go. Like do something fun again where there's a bunch of gore and someone's getting killed.
Their head chopped
off.
Yeah.
That's my playground. That's where I really love having.
Or there's some old lady getting her head exploded by a basketball.
Yes.
Favorites.
Oh, that was a Deadly Friend.
Yes. And it's in my top 5 of head explosions. You have to throw in Chopping Mall, and you have to throw in scanners.
Scanners.
I mean, yeah, for sure. A Maniac. It's pretty fucking good. Yeah. The shotgun through the or the gun through the yeah. But those are all really good ones.
One of my favorites is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
and that's
and that's one that you won't see brought up as much because it's not quite. It's a little more cartoonish to start with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just love that movie.
So I'm just going to throw this one out there. It's not really a head explosion, but one of the coolest things. When they did the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when that girl in the back of the van puts the gun in her mouth and pulls the trigger, and then they back the camera out through her head, was one of the fucking coolest things I've ever seen. I mean, whoever came up with that idea was genius.
Yeah. No, that I really enjoyed that. I remember watching that. God, it's like 20 years ago now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that that was around the time where my opinion on remakes started to shift a little. I'm not saying that remakes are always needed or that they're better than the original, but if you can take them and separate them from the original film, which is incredibly difficult to do,
it is.
I think you can find a lot to appreciate in some remakes.
Evil Dead. Evil
Dead remake is probably one of the best
ever done.
I like that one. I really like The Hills Have Eyes. I'm a huge Wes Craven fan, but I think the remake it is superior to the original. And again, I understand anyone disagreeing with that statement. That's not a problem for me. But Alexandra Aja directing that film, he killed it.
See, and that's like for me, I'm there's two movies that they're talking about remaking that I'm kind of really fucking just like why.
Yeah.
One of them is The Crow.
Oh,
the first movie, The Crow is like my top 1 or 2 movies of all time. I absolutely, out of all genres, I love that movie. Brandon Lee just killed that character.
Yeah.
The way they filmed it is just amazing. The atmosphere, the ambiance, all that is just amazing. And I get it. People want to see stuff. That movie to me is a masterpiece. And then the other one is just personal to me, and that's The Lost Boys. They're supposedly remaking it. And that's just one of those movies.
I mean, that's a movie that doesn't need to be remade.
Right. The problem, here's what the problem is. A lot of these films they try to remake, they are loved for reasons. The director's amazing, like top of the top notch, like top of, the writing or the characters. And you bring someone else in, even if they're super talented, I'm never going to out Peter Jackson with his first 3 movies. I'm never going to out Sam Raimi. And if that is attempted, I'm going to look like an idiot because I'm not them, I can take pieces of what they've done and incorporate it into my style and make something new of it, just like using different colors of paint and painting something different. Right. But I'm not necessarily, copying one of these filmmakers' styles. And also, I don't have the budget. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Yeah. But I love paying homage to those things. And I love paying homage to those things in places and ways that a lot of people probably will never catch on, but it's there, with Fontaine, The Vengeful Nun Who Wouldn't Die. You best believe your ass if I'm making an unsploitation film, the line "you kick ass for the Lord" is getting in there, and it fucking did, and why wouldn't it? Because it works, I mean, it worked. Right. But at the same time, you just can't. I don't know. Yeah, it's easy to like step over that boundary and try to copy something that you're never going to do justice to because you're not that person.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like I love The Craft, the original, great film, and the new one just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's one right up your alley, Black Christmas.
Yeah,
they did a remake of that.
They've done several. They've done several. Yeah.
Here's what's funny is the original Black Christmas was directed by Bob Clark.
Right.
Bob Clark also did A Christmas Story.
Yes.
Right.
That's right up your genre now.
It is. So I just saw Black Christmas, the original, last year for the first time. And I have to tell you guys, it shot to the top of my slasher list. For sure.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film.
It is fantastic. I agree 100%. Yeah. I actually saw the remake beforehand. So I saw that first, not the newest one, but the other one. I have an aversion of sort. I think subtext is important if you want to put it in a film. I don't think making it the focal point of the film is smart, and because I think what it does is it divides audiences, and I think especially as an indie filmmaker, taking away from your audience is just silly. I mean, like, why would you do that? At the same time, I definitely want to be able to say some things in my art. But like, making it super in your face is not the way to go, and no one wants to, I just watched the new Doctor Who episode, right? I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, and I thought 90% of it was amazing. And then at the end, they put some lines in there and it was just so in your face. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ignore this only because I loved everything else I saw.
Right.
But there's no way I ever would have done that in a million years, And the funny thing is I agreed with most of it. Politically speaking, I agreed with what they were saying. I just don't need it to be the central point of the story.
Right.
And there's other parts of the, that really worked well. Most of it worked really well,
Yeah.
But again, that's one of those things. It's kind of a small gripe, but if you bring that up, then you automatically get accused of being opposed to those ideas, which isn't the case. That's the funny thing.
Everyone can have their opinions, but in this world, we're all here for a reason. We're here to watch movies. You're here to make them. We're here to watch them. We're here to enjoy them. that's what we're here for. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't divide anybody else any further. Let's just enjoy a damn movie. That's one reason why I like the horror genre. Most of it is just, you know what you're getting. There's no bull crap and go.
Yeah. But even some of the greats had something they wanted to say. It's just, it wasn't super obvious. And sometimes it was even argued that they wanted to say some of the things that people think are so, you know, like if you go back to Romero's Night of the Living Dead, you know, I think it says a lot. But if you asked him, like there are interviews with him where he said he didn't directly cast a specific person of a specific color to make a statement. Now, I don't know that I don't know. He definitely leaned left, you know, Romero leaned left. I lean left, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I don't know what his true intentions were. He definitely had a lot of commentary throughout all of his films, you know, like Dawn of the Dead was all about, you know, all this commercialization and like over rampant, like you have to buy everything, you know, Day of the Dead, Cold War kind of fucking, I mean, like all these little things that he was saying for sure. And they're vital to the story in a lot of ways also, you know?
Right.
But there wasn't like these big fucking red flashing signs. That
right.
Like They Live.
I was going to say, I will say that worked. You know,
absolutely.
Carpenter's one of my favorite horror directors. I mean, like, there's so many. But Carpenter's fantastic. Yeah, I think he's one of the few that can do that and make it work. I mean, like, it worked so well.
Yeah. Carpenter's the man. I mean,
absolutely. I mean,
who is cooler than a guy who made some of the best horror films 70s, 80s, 90s? Then now is in his fucking late 70s, early 80s, plays Xbox all day, smokes weed, and then goes on tour with his son when he wants to.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only did he direct those,
and is still involved in, I mean, he's still involved in the Halloween series.
Yeah.
You know,
and not only did he direct them, but he also
we won't blame him for that, by the way. Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
He also scored them.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had his hands in everything.
Yeah. He, as a musician, I think that most people give him credit, but he's still overlooked for the contribution he brought with that music for his films.
Right.
You know, and I think that his music is just so memorable, and a lot of his music would be like the template that I would love to use. I don't want to copy it necessarily, but it's the mood that he brings to a lot of his films that I think are just really awesome.
If you took the music out of a film, it wouldn't be, I mean, especially a film, well, we'll just say it, you know, a film like Halloween. Halloween would not be the movie it is without the score.
Right.
The score is what builds so much tension in that movie.
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere. Yeah.
That's what, he
was the king of that.
Yes. He is the king of building atmosphere of that music.
And not just music. I mean, music scores, those are all very, very, very important, but sound design in general. And there's like there's ways that it affects us psychologically that a lot of people just going and watching films don't even necessarily know, you know? And like then that flips over to like the music and everything. You know, if I do a repeating pattern of bump, 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 and then on the next one I just go bump, bump, your brain automatically says something's not right here.
Something's different.
Something just changed, and I was expecting that third beat, you know, that third bump. And knowing that, if you don't know that, you can't fucking utilize it. But if you know it and you get more detailed with it, and then you start playing with it,
yeah,
and then you go back and rewatch the films that you love, and you realize they've been doing these things to you this entire time.
And that's like someone who's new that we talk about a lot that we think has saved horror, like James Wan.
Yeah.
Like, man, when he came out with The Conjuring,
I love James Wan. A lot of people were like unhappy with Malignant, but 5 minutes in, I knew what I was watching. I loved it.
Absolutely.
I loved it. And I get why people may not love it, but I thought it was a fun fucking ride. And it reminded me of like early mid 90s movies where, you know, late night, maybe I was 14, 15, I'm fucking watching Cinemax, and it was just a fun ride. It doesn't take itself too serious. Sure, there's things I could sit there and be like, well, this is ridiculous. But I mean, so is waking up in the morning and being alive.
So is 90% of the other shit we see in movies, you know? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, James Wan, you know, Dead Silence. I mean,
a
lot of people don't really care for that film, but I
loved it. Yeah, I loved it too.
The atmosphere alone in that movie is just, and you know, he's just another one of those directors.
Yeah. We won't. We don't necessarily need to bring up Aquaman, but yeah.
Right. Well, yeah.
No,
the women might like it if we did that. But.
Yeah, I mean, I really like James Wan. Talking about like taking yourself too serious. I used to get so worked up on continuity with lighting from one shot to the next, and then I went back and rewatched a bunch of Kubrick films, who I absolutely love. If you look at Clockwork Orange, and then you go and you can look up on you can go and look on YouTube the lighting of Clockwork Orange, and he deliberately changed the lighting so the shadows would redirect your eye, and sometimes would not just redirect your eye, but redirect your eye to someone's like he was. There's one scene in particular where he redirects your eye to someone's penis. And it's the whole idea is that that's the person that's in power in this moment. And it doesn't match from the previous shot. The lighting is completely fucking different. Right. But he's doing it to tell his story and to show you this is the masculine figure here. This is the guy he's the one in control of the situation, even if the body language may not show that. And it's just wild to think that this motherfucker sat here and thought about this shit in so much detail that it didn't match, but it matched what he wanted to tell the story he wanted,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's awesome.
That's crazy.
That's what's cool about the film industry,
and it's cool that you can do that kind of stuff, and
it is wild,
and people don't even know about it.
Right. It's even better when you
subliminal.
Right. It's even better when you can get it to work and no one notices it. Just like I'm sure both of you have probably seen Clockwork Orange, but yeah. My first time, actually, funny enough, was probably 5-6 years ago on the big screen, which was awesome. It's also just a fucked up ride, But yeah.
Especially if you're on shrooms.
Do a bunch of edibles before you watch it,
or DMT. We can go. We won't get into the DMT discussion. We've already been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. But next time you're on the show, we'll talk about DMT.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have any personal experience on that, so
you're good.
I could bring a little bit. I could bring a little bit of personal experience with the shrooms. The trails are fun. The laughter is amazing. So
right.
So man, it's awesome conversation, dude. I loved it, man. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it.
Tell our people where they can find you.
Right. So we're doing screenings. We have one in Philly on December 7th. We have another one in St. Louis, December 15th. We have 2 more in New Orleans, the 20th and 21st. So we have a couple different cities we're doing screenings. You can find all the information for XXX-Mas at monsterkidfilms.com/XXX-Mas. And it'll be streaming at newvillagevideo.com on December 8th for rental.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome,
yeah.
Nice.
So, and they're a good fit, I think, for what we have. And it'll also be streaming eventually on Amazon, and I'm assuming Tubi.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it was an awesome conversation, dude. Great having you on here.
Absolutely. We got to get you back on here, man.
Yeah. No, thanks.
You're fun to talk to,
we'll
man.
Get crazy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'll come back on anytime. We can just talk fucking horror films, man. I mean, I'm a huge horror film, horror fan. So yeah,
awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right,
we'd love to do that, man.
Yeah. Reach
out. Well, stick around. We're gonna get out of here, and
we'll talk to you on the other side.
We'll talk to you on the other side.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being on here, man.
Thank you.
All right, man. That guy was awesome, man.
Great times.
Awesome.
Great times.
James Dean. We make sure you check him out. Monster Kid Productions, monsterkidfilms.com. They're on Facebook. He's just about everywhere. Can't wait to see this film.
Go see the movies.
I may end up taking a trip to St. Louis on the 15th to go see those.
Support our indie directors, guys.
Support these guys. They're out there busting their ass, and we need these guys because Hollywood ain't cutting it anymore.
That's right. And we love you, horror fam. Thank you guys for listening. And more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.